considering everything that you both know about your characters, to what extent do you think Anna and Damon's relationship is a redeemable one?
I mean, that question gets at the heart of, I think, what the show is. Mm-hmm. I think that we're trying at every step to fix what has been shattered. We've sort of inherited something that is already broken. So yeah, sure. In everything that I'm doing, as icy as it sometimes may seem, I think what I'm actually trying to do is fix, solve, and mend. So I think that's what I'm hoping for.
Perfect. And for yourself, Tom, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it's really what drives Damon more than anything. I think that the love that he has for his mom and his sister, and the guilt that he feels for the way his life has turned out versus his mom and sister's lives have turned out, is completely his driving force. I think that if Damon didn't believe that their relationship was redeemable, then he would be in a very, very different place. And as exactly as Sydney said, I think that is entirely what the show gets at. That's entirely what we spend the first season trying to figure out.
Perfect. So in your opinion, in both of your opinions, how well do you, to what extent do you classify them as anti-heroes? Because I think they might be. And this is both of you.
Well, I mean, is Anna the easiest person to love? No, she's not. But I think that, I mean, she's kind of earned her snarkiness a little bit. She was like battered and bruised and thrown to the wolves as a girl. And she overcame everything. And in fact, has turned out to be an incredibly successful businesswoman and just basically a strong badass. So she's overcome a lot. She uses what abilities she was born with for good. Yeah. I mean, at first appearance, at first appearance, it might seem like she's killing that guy. But when you look deeper, she's going after people who cause harm to others. And so I see her as a full-blown hero, but of course I have to, because I have to defend her at every turn. But I see her as a full-blown hero. She's killing bad guys.
And for yourself, Tom, how do you feel about Damon?
I mean, I feel like if Damon was sitting here in this chair in my house answering this question, I don't think he would. I don't think he would describe himself as a hero at all. I think that he struggles greatly with the abilities that he's inherited and the abilities that he has. And I think that using those abilities costs him a lot, both physically and emotionally. And so I don't think he sees what he does as heroic. I think he sees it as a kind of a way to sort of repay his debt to society just purely for being there.
That's really good.
Yeah. Fair enough. This sort of kills my third question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Both of them obviously are in possession of incredible power, and as you both rightly pointed out, life-threatening power. But you've both also both said that they're not threatening, but obviously they are. So between the sister and the brother, which one do you consider to be the greater threat?
We are very different. In fact, there's very little between the two of us that binds us. In fact, more than being of a piece, we're sort of complementary. And it's for that very reason that the greater powers have tried to keep us away from each other. Because when we do come together, the complement of our abilities is extraordinarily powerful. So it is hard to say which of us is more powerful than the next. I think it's more so a matter of when we're together, what can we do? Because we can.
What can you achieve together that you can't separately? Yeah. And for yourself, Tom, have you anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think it's their abilities and the abilities that they kind of choose to really put the full force of their attention into are so different. So it's kind of night and day, you know. It's like you can't really compare them, and exactly like Sydney said, that they're sort of you know, their abilities together are far greater than they are separately. And,
absolutely.
And yeah.
So, big question for me in terms of the show overall. To what extent do you think Helstrom discusses the idea of nature versus nurture? And I mean it in relation to, in terms of evil. Does that make sense?
Do you mean being born?
Being born that way, or becoming? Yeah. So nature versus.
I love that question.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, if in the comic books, if Dad is Satan, I think that it can go. We can pretty much confidently say that he is born that way and sort of is that way. So, in a way, genetically, I'm half of my father and half of my mother. So it's sort of a toss-up. I mean, there's some evilness that is innate and genetically hardwired into who I am, but there's another whole side of me that is good, and so there is that constant battle happening inside. And so I have these abilities to do evil, but I also have the power to rein it back. And so it's this incredible question of morality. How will I choose to be today? Will I use this power? And is there a reason big enough to call upon these powers? And will I use them for good or evil?
Absolutely. Tom, to finish us off, I think we've got about 30 seconds before they kick me out or cut me off or whatever they do. I don't know.
I think they won't do that.
They won't do that. Tell them not to, because I have one more question. It's really easy. I promise it's really easy.
Okay, that's fine. I don't care if it's hard. Let's do it.
Okay. It literally is. Have you got anything to add to the answers for the last question, by the way?
I think that the reason that the nature nurture debate is such a big one still is because people don't know the answer to it. We don't know why we are the way we are. We don't know whether it's because of our DNA, or we don't know if it's the way that we were brought up. And I think that our show exposes that so greatly. You know, it shows that these are two characters who don't know that, who don't understand it, and who are constantly battling with that. And who have the very same nature, but have been nurtured in completely different ways.
I'll tell you what, the question suggested itself to me right at the end of the second episode, where obviously you're there with the character in the car crash, and then obviously Anna's in the room with the mother, and that's when the penny dropped for me, and I went, I have to ask you this question. Anyway, thank you very much for your question, your answer. That's amazing. My last question is, can you describe for me your perfect Sunday afternoon?
Yes, very easily, because I'm English. So I would be in a pub having a roast with a pint or a glass of wine. That's the law here, as you well know.
Absolutely. And
nice.
And for yourself, Sydney, how do you spend your Sundays?
I've been having some really lovely Sundays actually lately. And it's not much. It's like a book, phone banking. Phone banking for Joe Biden, and hanging out with my dog.